This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1283 of Horse Tip Daily, your almost everyday morsel of helpful hints, useful facts, and practical techniques for horse folks.
This winter grooming tip is brought to you by Horseware Blankets. Joining us are two of the top grooms in the country, Eventer Philip Dutton's groom Emma Ford and Kat Hill from World Class Grooming. Well, our Horseware winter grooming tip is with Kat, and we're talking this week about blanketing the clipped horse. And none of us are ever sure what weight to put on, how, is too much, too little, especially with the clipped horses. It just seems to be more, you fret about it more.
Absolutely. I think it's easy to project your own temperature on your horse. If you're cold, you throw a blanket on them. If you're hot, you take one off. And every horse has their own personality when it comes to clothing. I have two Irish horses in the barn. One of them hates clothes and would be naked unless it's an absolute blizzard out if he had his druthers. And my other one wants every blanket in the barn on him at all times. He needs to be starting blanketing at 60 degrees. Thank you very much. So knowing them intimately will help you. One of the big things I tell people is to put their hand on their horse where they're not covered by the blanket. Lots of people put their hand under the blanket to feel how they feel. And most of the time, that's going to feel warm. Just like if you were to put your hand under your sweater, that would feel warm, but your hands might be freezing. So I always check ears, faces, legs, and then try to blanket to adjust that to more of a moderate temperature rather than just underneath their rug. Rambo has some amazing quality turnouts. They've got the Supreme, which is a really heavy one with the neck that keeps them super toasty warm. They have their Vera layer system, which helps thermoregulate, similar to how their own hair works, and that comes in many different weights. They've got their Wug, which is a half neck, think of like a turtleneck. So if you've got a horse who's partially clipped, the Wug just gives a little bit more protection from wind kind of sliding down their shoulders and making them chilly. They also have a really neat one that's called their Lights. Their California or Florida weight. It's 100 grams. And that's great for people who are down south and have a clipped horse and they need a little bit of something, but maybe not quite as heavy as a midweight. I also do recommend, if you've got a horse who has their neck clipped, they really need to wear a neck. Their necks are one of their biggest areas for cooling. That's why we clip it, because it keeps them cooler. And if that's exposed to wind, they have a really hard time staying warm. So I always try to at least have a top layer that has a neck covering so that they've got that wind break on their neck. The other big thing I like to talk about is to make sure you're clipping based on what you do with your horse, not how much you want to look at your horse. We all would love to give a show clip to our horse and clip them from their coronary bands to the tips of their ears, but in reality, that's not necessarily best for the horse. I always do the minimal clip possible. If I'm doing a trace clip, I'll do the lowest trace clip I can, and then work my way up until I know exactly where they need to be comfortable. In fact, even my lesson horses, I tend to just do what's called a chase clip, where I clip from in between their front legs to underneath their chin and just give them a little cooling strip. Since a lot of our horses up here still go out, they need to have that protection from the elements of their own hair in combination with some wonderful blankets.
And of course, Christmas is coming, and what would be better than the book World Class Grooming for anybody that's a horsey person in your life? And we know the author. She's on right now. So where can people find the book?
You can find us wherever equestrian books are sold, as well as our website. That's not right. As well as our website, worldclassgrooming.com. We also do clinics and barn education. You can find out more information about that at worldclassgrooming.com, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram with World Class Grooming.
This tip was brought to you by Horseware. Have you ever wanted to own your own Rambo? Well, here's your chance. From October 3rd to November 23rd, receive $50 off any Rambo turnout blanket, including the Rambo Duo, the Optimo, the Original, the Supreme, and all the others in the Rambo turnout line. All you have to do is trade in your old turnout from any brand for a horse in need. Simply visit horseware.com/trade for more information and fill out the form for the voucher you will need to get your $50 off. The complete list of retailers is at horseware.com/trade as well. Open to U.S. and Canadian residents only. Go to horseware.com/trade today and replace that blanket with all the holes for one of the best blankets on the market, the Rambo Turnout line.
Well, there you have it. You can find links to today's guests as well as lots more tips at horsetipdaily.com. Today's episode is number 1283. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of listeners like you and Horseware. Learn how you can help support Horse Radio Network programming and qualify for auditors-only perks by going to horsetipdaily.com and clicking on the Become an Auditor banner. This is Coach Jen, and I'll be back again soon with another tip. So until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.